Hanging in a dangerously spectacular manner, these coffins conceal many secrets of an anonymous tribe. In the far-flung mountains of China, this astonishing sight seems to indicate that this might be a graveyard, a vertically constructed graveyard. But the biggest question is, why? In the Sichuan and Yunnan provinces of China, this scene is not limited to a single cliff, but can be seen on many small and large cliffs. Several coffins have been observed at heights ranging from 100 feet to 400 feet. So far, a total of 131 hanging coffins have been found in China, some of which are more than 3,000 years old. Climbing up to such heights on limestone cliffs, placing wooden planks for the coffins, and then carrying these several hundred kilograms heavy coffins up there is a task that seems challenging even with today's modern equipment. So, how was this done thousands of years ago? And even more importantly, why was it done? Did they run out of land, or were these people living inside the mountains? Who were these people, and what happened that today there is no trace of this tribe? Locals believe that these were legendary people who had the power to fly. But is this reality or just a myth? 3,000 years ago, in the Sichuan and Yunnan provinces of China, there was a tribe known as the Bo. There is not much found in history about this tribe. In 1573, about 450 years ago, the Ming dynasty conquered China, and along with it, the Ming Imperial Army exterminated all members of the Bo tribe. The extinction of the Bo tribe also led to the disappearance of many secrets associated with them, the biggest of which was the mystery of these hanging coffins. This part of central China is filled with small and large mountains and cliffs for thousands of miles. Most of these cliffs are quite remote, where no one has been able to reach to this day. Some cliffs, which are closer to settlements, have visible coffins, but reaching them is still very difficult because these are not ordinary cliffs but rocky, sharp, and completely vertical. Many coffins can be seen from afar on the cliffs, but because these coffins camouflage into the cliffs, tracking them is very difficult. When researchers took samples from a few of the discovered coffins, it was found that the oldest one was made around 3,000 years ago. This evidence indicates that the Bo tribe lived in this area 3,000 years ago. With this evidence, it has been estimated that there could be thousands more coffins hidden in this province. It's obvious that a tribe so ancient wouldn't have just 131 coffins. A unique feature of these coffins is that they were made from a single piece of wood. Experts believe that the only tool available at that time was the axe. This means that the people of the Bo tribe used axes to hollow out the inside of large tree trunks to shape them into coffins. A campaign was organized by the China Exploration and Research Society, where archaeologists and researchers from around the world decided to search for these hidden hanging coffins to unravel this mystery. In northern Yunnan, on a cliff where 6 coffins were hanging, researchers made a plan to reach them. Directly accessing the coffins was very difficult even for experienced cliff climbers. So they climbed the cliff using another route and were lowered directly to the 6 coffins using ropes. These were very fragile coffins, supported by wooden beams which were completely rotten and could break at any moment. What the climbers found inside these coffins made the mystery even more complicated. When the bones found in them were researched, it was revealed that each coffin contained the remains of more than one person. Additionally, these bones were covered in soil. Initially, it was thought that rainwater and soil from the cliffs might have found their way into the coffins. But later it was discovered that the Bo tribe initially buried their dead in soil, and after the bodies decomposed, they were then placed in the coffins. The skeletons were placed in the coffins, and the empty spaces were filled with sand. Perhaps this was done so that the bones inside would not move while the coffin was being transported upwards. Because of this sand, the weight of these coffins is about 250 kilos. So the question arises, how were these heavy coffins transported to cliffs where it's nearly impossible for a person to climb alone? Obviously, in that era, the Bo tribe did not possess any machinery. But 3,000 years ago, they had ropes, chisels, hammers, and most importantly, manpower. When researchers thoroughly examined the cliffs where the Bo tribe had placed the coffins, they found small holes in the cliffs. These holes did not appear natural at all, but seemed to have been made using chisels and hammers. There must have been some connection between these holes and the coffins. Perhaps the people used to insert bamboo sticks into these holes to create support for climbing. To solve this mystery, an experiment was needed. In 2003, a team from the Discovery Channel decided to conduct this experiment. They prepared a coffin exactly like those of the Bo tribe using only axes. Then, they drilled holes in the cliff and inserted bamboo sticks, on which a person could easily stand. This way, they drilled holes and inserted sticks at intervals of 5 to 6 feet on the cliff. These bamboo sticks acted like steps to climb the cliff. At the height where the coffin was to be placed, one of the sticks was used as a pulley. Modern pulleys have ball bearings for the rope to easily rotate, but the slippery nature of bamboo acts almost like a ball bearing. The rope was passed through this makeshift pulley, and the coffin was pulled up from the other side. Since the pulley reduces the load by 50%, the workers easily lifted the coffin to a height of 300 feet. The second group of workers, who had already created a wooden base on the cliff, placed the coffin on this base. After 3 days of effort by 12 people, the researchers' experiment was successful, and they believed that the Bo tribe people must have used a similar method to lift the coffins. Inside many of the discovered coffins, clothes made from fine linen were found, with a design that looked very similar. This indicates that the Bo tribe were experts in cultivating silkworms and also in making refined linen. They believed that their loved ones remained alive after death, but just departed from this world. During this research, experts found a very interesting piece of evidence related to the Bo tribe. The clothes that the Bo tribe used to make thousands of years ago and put in the coffins with the dead are still made in the same way in rural areas of China today. This suggests that not the entire Bo tribe was exterminated by the Ming dynasty. Some members must have survived. Where the surviving members of the Bo tribe are now, and why they are not continuing their ancestors' traditions, remains a mystery. Professor Lin Xiang from Sichuan University, who has spent 30 years of his life researching these hanging coffins, believes there could be 2 reasons for placing the coffins on the rocky cliffs. The first is that the higher the coffin is placed, the quicker it will transport the deceased to heaven. The second reason is quite practical. The Bo tribe wanted to protect the bodies of their loved ones from wild animals and enemies. By hanging the coffins in between the cliffs, reaching them becomes nearly impossible. What we know today about the Bo tribe and hanging coffins is merely theoretical. I would love to hear your thoughts on why the Bo tribe might have done this, so please leave your comments.